analysis and synthesis in our UU204 marking rubric. In research, analysis and synthesis are intertwined through an iterative process of collecting information and writing. Synthesis is like a concept design. As my colleague Pt2 said, we have to go out in the field with a mind map. This is a modified version of that mind map, the concept design, a skill that students have to develop when using RSD phases. Analysis and synthesis has particular resonance with the actual process of weaving a mat. Now let me take you back to the last facet where Mr. Ramode questioned, what do we take with us? From the facet 4, we have already gathered or we have already collected the information. So the weaving or the E-Talitali process places emphasis on the materials selected from facet 4, which are then woven together according to the concept design. The weaving process can be quite complex and challenging for the weavers, so as research. It requires a deep understanding of the concept design and appropriate use of the materials, whether it be the pandanus, a mat, grass mat, straw mat, string mat, plastic mat, and so on. And colors together with original and artistic or creative designs to match the concept design. In relation to RSD framework, we, the E-Talitali team, want to take our UU204 students to another level by weaving in the research literature, such as the online resources, journals, books, interviews, oral history, museum labels, and newspaper articles to support their arguments, their viewpoints, their opinions in academic writing. I would like to take you to a quotation written by, sorry, it's not on the slide, written by Professor Elizabeth Gillespie in her book, Routes and Roots, that was published in 2007. Forgive where my weaving feels uneven to your fingers. I know the design clearly, and the sun's journeys pass unaccounted while I work, but I need a finer skill to discipline the threads. The quotation reflects on the design of the mat, which means that if the weaving is uneven, then it has to be fine-tuned according to the concept design. The ability to improvise in relation to the uneven thickness of the thread, the position of the knot, and the use of the different colors comes with practice. In the same way, the weaving metaphor is used to help our students who are struggling to use research in writing about the Pacific. Similar to the weaving concept, students using RSD framework have to plan well and write a draft first. If the information gathered is too complex, then they need to synthesize, which means they need to improve, innovate, edit, and refine their writing. And if necessary, gather more information, which means that they have to go back to phase 1, which Pt2 mentioned, embark and verify. As many Pacific scholars, such as the late Professor Ipeli Haofa, the late Teresia Tewa, Dr. Kambutalaka, and our own Professor Kwanai Thayman have pointed out that less of a Eurocentric vision is needed to understand and conduct research in the Pacific. We, the E-Talitali team, feels that we in the Pacific need to create a PAC-centric vision to develop research skills in our UU204 students. This weaving metaphoric framework is transferable. It can be used in the Pacific and also in other contexts. Thank you. Ms. Lalita will now take you to phase 5 of the RSD release.
Thank you, Nance. Good afternoon, everyone. I will speak on the final element of the RSD, which is step 6, communicate and apply. You can see an open map, a mat there. The mat brings together a whole set of different expressions. It's not just weaving. You can see the pattern, the colors, the design, neatness, the strengths that are cut out in the grains, also the folds and the seams. All these qualities of weaving have an application in the interpretation of a story. That mat is telling us a story. The finished product shows quality of the final creation, and it is a fine mat with no loose ends and patterns, and is easily visible. The quality of the final creation can be judged by the pattern and its artistic design. This is what is expected in a final research paper. There should be a structure, a pattern, cohesion between the paragraphs, and a flow, which is only possible if the researcher has followed each of the 5 elements that has already been discussed. And it is only possible if the researcher proofreads and edits his or her work, checks for spelling, grammar, sentence, and sentence structure, is consistent with the referencing, which is linked to in-text citations, and acknowledges the sources when using quotations. Now, the significance of the mat. Mat has a social, cultural, and economic significance. It passes knowledge to the younger generation. It is made as a gift. It is sold for economic benefit. It has special significance in cultural, for cultural purposes, for example, weddings. And I will also show you a mat that I was given to in Marshall Islands. That was made especially for me. I'm going to treasure it all my life. This was hanging on the wall of my home, and I brought it down yesterday to show it to you. You know, while I was teaching these students that I taught, they were engrossed in designing and preparing this mat for me. So you can see that while they were designing all this, they must have been thinking about what I had taught in this summer school. So you can see the value of the mat. It has a lot of significance. For researchers, I would say the purpose of research must be related to different disciplines, because UU204, I think many other disciplines as well, they are also teaching about specific issues. They will be researching about specific issues. They will be talking about specific issues. So, the research that they are doing, it must provide new knowledge, whatever knowledge that they gain through the research skills. It must be beneficial for the policymakers, for the educators, and we should also ask, does it explain to the general public the use of information that is generated through research for its sustainability? Does it contribute to literature for future generations? Or are the students pouring out their frustration? And many students do that, I tell you, in our last assignment. They were pouring out their frustration in their research paper. Or simply they do it to gain marks. Whatever the reason may be, the researchers should be ethical with their work. They should not copy other people's work. And this is a forum where we could work out a framework using cultural practices for sustainable research skills. In our E-Tally model, I agree with the minister this morning. He said that we should be able to push boundaries and think beyond the textbook. And through this weaving metaphor, we will be able to produce better researchers. Thank you very much, and I'll call on Rosie to give the conclusion.